Awesome, baby. And that's where I want to go next with the Jimmy V Classic, right? BYU on a buzzer beater, UConn with a statement win at Madison
Oh,
Square Garden. And I mean, this was a fun basketball last night. We got this on a Tuesday night, like basketball
random.
up till about almost 1 a.m. Eastern time. We had some good basketball. Let's start with BYU Clemson. This game was insane. Clemson had a 22-point lead at one point in this one, and BYU came all the way back, buzzer beater at the very end of the game, and it was one of the craziest buzzer beaters that I think I've seen in a very long time. Robert Wright III picked up the buzzer beater on this one, finished 17 points in this one. It was wild. What do you take from the BYU Clemson game?
Yeah, I was looking at this last night. Clemson made a free throw. Where is this at? It was okay. So Robert Wright made a 3-pointer at 6:59 left remaining in the first to put BYU to 22 points. At that point, it was tied. BYU went into the half with 22 points. So BYU did not score for the last 7 minutes of game time. And at the half, Clemson had a 97.7% chance of winning. So the fact that BYU came back and won this game was absolutely insane. On that final shot, I genuinely could not believe that that was the shot they decided to take when they called timeout, brought it over half court. Like, I just couldn't believe that that was the decision they ended up making. He ended up making it, which was awesome. And then when they played it back, it took the replay for me to be like, whoa, that was actually a really tough shot, like kind of falling away to put that ball on the right trajectory. Shout out to Robert Wright there, the third, with that shot puts him to 17 points on the night. I think that this wasn't the game where we all realized this, but this was certainly a game on a national stage where AJ DeBanza can say, like, Big 12, look out. I'm going to come in. I'm going to make some noise. No game is officially over until the clock hits 0. Keba Keita, a problem. As an Iowa State fan, I remember how that went last year in those two games. Like Richie Saunders, Robert Wright, this BYU team. And I'm going to be honest here. Like, I just think the Big 12 is too loaded. I don't think this is the best team in the Big 12. I don't even know if this is in the top 5. But this just shows the depth of the Big 12 because this is a very good BYU team.
Yeah, this is insane that you could make the argument and not be wrong that this is probably, I'd say, the fourth best Big 12 team with Arizona, with Iowa State, with Houston in front of them. And they're the 10th best team in the country. Their only loss right now is a 2-point loss to UConn, which we're going to get to in just a minute. And you can be like, yeah, I think they're only the fourth best team in their conference. Insane.
Nuts.
Absolutely insane stuff. I think that they are very good. This is not going to be the same year of college basketball where all the number 1 seeds make the tournament. There are just way too many good teams this year. We might be in the cusp of the best NCAA tournament we have ever seen. I think we might be like the Sweet 16. If there was not a single upset, which of course there's going to be, but like, could you imagine if the top 16 teams played each other to finish out this tournament? Like, that's how good how top heavy, but how good this entire field is this year. Like, we were talking about the AP top 25 yesterday's conversation, and there are so many good teams. We didn't even bring up BYU, and they reminded us why we should after that win against Clemson on Tuesday night. BYU right now ranked 10th. They get this win against Clemson. That probably doesn't help them in the standings because Clemson's not seen as a huge ranked team. But what they should be paid attention to is they can come back from a huge deficit and win basketball games. That is huge, especially when you're getting ready to play in Big 12 play. As we mentioned, right now seen as maybe the 4th best team in their conference, but still the 10th best in the country.
Yeah, I don't want to harp on this too long because I do want to get to the other game as well. That game was arguably better. It was a different game, right? Instead of a comeback, It was a tight game the entire way. But I wanted to bring this up. Shout out to my man, Ryan Hammer, arguably the best college football or basketball analyst out there with his invention of the trapezoid of excellence. He released his trapezoid of excellence as of 12/9 yesterday, and he was talking about the efficiencies that he's looking at right now. It was so hard for him to draw the boundaries on this trapezoid because we're seeing ridiculously high efficiencies. I believe there were like 4 teams or something like that over an adjusted efficiency rating of like 99. They were over 40 raw. It was ridiculous. And he said something about like this season, there's an unprecedented number. Last season, there were like 3 teams at this point at that mark. In the previous like 6 years, there were only 3 teams prior to that. So basketball in the last 2 years has gotten significantly better. So like BYU fans, if you're watching this, I am not saying that BYU is bad by saying that they're like lower in the Big 12. It's just that basketball this year is like off the charts. Everyone is ridiculously good right now. I can't wait to see what BYU does. I do think AJ DeBanza is going to be electric for this team. 9 to 10 from the free throw line, something I think a lot of people are, overlooking just because of everything else that went down in this one. 28 points. Unbelievable effort from BYU. What were your thoughts on the Yukon Florida game? Because you brought this up. You brought up Yukon. This is the last 3 national championships on the same floor, tight the entire way. Florida falls to 5-4 too. But what did you think here?
Yeah, first, that's crazy that Florida falls to 5-4. Now, with the exception of the TCU game, most of them are really quality losses, and those
Right.
matter. Those definitely matter. I mean, they lost to Arizona, they lost to Duke, they lost to UConn, all top 5 teams in the country at the moment. The only one that really sucks is that TCU lost. So let's keep that in mind. We'll get to more Florida in a minute, but UConn, I think they proved, when you're trying to talk about the Mount Rushmore of who the best 4 teams in the country are right now, UConn wasn't in that conversation. I think they're going to try and kick their way through it and make themselves be seen as a team that belongs as one of the top teams in the country right now. Them sitting at 5 almost seems a little disrespectful. That's how crazy it is. They already have a loss on their belt. That's why you couldn't make them any higher. When you look at how they actually perform, this team could be seen as one of the best in the country. And I'm not talking 5. I'm talking more than higher than that. I think they could compete with a Duke. They could compete with Iowa State, Michigan, Arizona. Although, I really do think that's the case. They lost Arizona this year, but they did it without Terrace Reed Jr. Terrace Reed Jr. comes back, and he wasn't 100%. He still had 12 points in this game. He still shot 5 for 10 from the field. He only played 24 minutes, but he was just having him out there is huge. And just having him back is absolutely huge. And let me just say this. I don't think I have ever seen a better Euro step in a college basketball game than at the end of this one with Malachi Smith. Him coming off the bench, he had 9 assists, by the way. But the Euro step he had at the end of the game was absolutely incredible. I think you need to start paying attention to UConn, although they might be seen as just the 5th best team in the country because they have a 1 loss. When you look at the rest of their schedule for a little bit, they have to play Texas. They got Butler. That's really it until they wind up playing Seton Hall and Villanova later on in Big East championship play or Big East conference play. This is a team that can make a deep run, and don't be shocked if they're a number 1 seed come tournament in March.
I mean, I was impressed with UConn. I thought Caravan put together a lot of really solid, possessions offensively and defensively. 2 blocks out there and a steal as well. Just look at some defensive stats, 2 rebounds on the defensive side of the floor. Solo ball impressed me. Obviously, you mentioned that Euro step from Malachi Smith. Can we also just take for literally 0.2 seconds? That atmosphere for this game was
MSG
insane.
was wild. It was wild.
Through the screen, I was like, oh my gosh. For a neutral floor too, it was unreal.
It felt like a tournament game in December.
It was.
And this is perfect for the game of college basketball. Because for the longest time, this has definitely changed this year. And you could say it's not the first year it's changed, but this is the first year I've really paid more attention to it. That when college football is still happening, you normally aren't paying too much attention to college basketball because of that overlap. You're usually still all in on the college football because it's postseason play, things like that. And usually that's when some of these teams are playing their cupcakes. They're playing their buy-in games, all that stuff like that. Not this year. Not this year. We had the Players era. We have the Jimmy V Classics. We have a team, like you mentioned, the national champions, Florida, already losing to 3 teams inside the AP top 5.
Yeah.
And they haven't even got to SEC play yet. This is going to be a wild season, Nick.
Yeah, well, and to that point, you said keep your eye on UConn. I think that this game and the BYU game as well opened up my eyes to this, the top 4 I think are very, very good. Duke, Arizona, Michigan, Iowa State. I don't think I was wrong in saying that those 4 teams are just on another level right now. But them being on another level doesn't make any of these teams not worth watching because it is such a deep field this year. BYU probably not in that conversation with those top 4. And I don't think a lot of BYU fans would disagree with me by me saying that. But also, I'm not going to say that BYU is out of the running for the Big 12. They're still an unbelievably good team. They string together a few good wins, get an upset. All of a sudden, look at what we're looking at. And in the tournament, too, that's a totally different situation.
Right.
UConn playing in the Big East, I know I kind of discredited the Big East a few, I think it was yesterday that we talked about this, and that's just me. I I'm going to stand by that a little bit. I think it's a much easier schedule than the Big 12, but they're going to get an opportunity to build a bunch of momentum ahead of the NCAA tournament. They might become a 1 seed, maybe 2 seed, and they'll go in and they're going to beat teams because they are a very good team. This is going to be an unbelievable year of college basketball. I don't know how else to say this than like if you even remotely like sports or basketball, like how I'm like a sports guy, like I would watch baseball. That's you had to be at that level or higher. Turn on every game you can this season because I do think this will be a historic season of college basketball.
It's awesome, baby. Perfect way to end it.
Anything is possible.
Jimmy V classic. I love it. I love it. Absolutely. Both of these teams are going to be teams that we see make deep runs in the NCAA tournament. Even Florida. I think Florida might be like the most dangerous 4 seed in the tournament after some of these losses. They probably won't get the overall 1 seed or whatever like that. So even if they wind up doing some crazy stuff in the SEC play, could you imagine the national championship Florida team after this, how crazy this is? Be like, yeah, right now we see them only as the 20th best team in the country. That's how good you have college basketball this year, folks. Let's get on out of here. Thank you so much for listening to Marv and Rauh in the morning, bringing your daily hot takes every morning, covering all the sports. We'll be back here tomorrow with another episode real soon. Next, let's get on out of here.
I'll see you tomorrow morning.